because I live in Japan, so I don't have to show my passport when I check in. Sometimes they want to see my card, my residence card for living here. But sometimes they don't. Technically, they're not supposed to ask, and they're not supposed to copy it. It's just a whole. Some hotels ask for it, some hotels don't. You can be pushy about it and say don't do it. But then it gets even weirder when you're traveling with people who do need to show their passports. And it was always like, hey, we wanted to offer a great service where we take the bags to the room. They'd be like, hey, so before we check in, can we see everyone's passports? I'm like, oh, but passports are in the bags that you took to the room.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, well, could you like come back later and scan them?
Right.
And I was like, all right. Just never did.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is weird. Why do they... It's like
I have like a different problem every time I go into a hotel where it's like, you know, usually if I'm with like
they want to know
other people, right? They're like, oh, can we see your passports? Or if you live in Japan, can we at least see your Zaidyu card or your residence card?
Yeah.
And it's so awkward every time. Like everyone's, you know, giving like this happens so much on Journey Across Japan. Everyone's giving their Zaidyu cards, right? And then the clerk just like, you know, looks over at me being like, Zaidyu card, bitch. And it's so awkward me having to be like, yeah, so I don't have one. I'm Japanese. I can see them pressing X, like to doubt. They're like, you sure about that, motherfucker?
Oh, you Nihonjin?
You Nihonjin? Okay.
How does this interaction normally go then? Like,
What's up?
How does this interaction normally go?
Oh, no. I mean, for the most part, it's usually I just say, oh, I'm Japanese in Japanese. And they're like, oh, okay.
I'm going to fucking try that.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it. See if they stop asking me for my documents.
Yeah. But then every now and then when it's like, especially in like, if it's like a big city, for example, with lots of foreigners, they're kind of just like, what do you mean by that? Like, what do you mean you're Japanese?
Please switch music.
And I'm like, so I don't have a Zaidyu card. I live here. I have.
Yeah, well, I think actually that, like, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I'm pretty sure even if you live here that they're not required to have your ID.
No.
But again, I guess how do you, it's like, take my word for it. Like, I guess I don't know.
I guess I have to do that. I'm like, they're like, no, you're not Japanese. You clearly don't look it. It's like, I am. Just trust me.
I've got chatting with some people who have Zaidyu cards and they really don't like, I guess because it's just like the principle. They don't want to show them.
Yeah.
So like, I shouldn't have to show it. Fuck you.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, I'm not showing you my Zaidyu card. Because they always photocopy it as well.
Yeah.
Which I don't get. Why do they photocopy my card?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't.
I guess maybe it's for like insurance reasons, maybe.
I guess, but
Or it's like if you fuck up a room so hard, then it's like, well, we got your info right here. You know?
A little bit xenophobic to just only get like the foreign residents. I guess it's kind of weird. Go on.
Yeah, so they can actually, if it's a police officer, they can detain you. If
Yeah.
you don't have your Zaidyu card.
Yeah,
If it's
yeah,
everyone
yeah.
else, then you're fine. So if you just say like, oh, I'm Japanese to like everyone else, they wouldn't care. But if it's a police officer,
Yeah.
you probably should.
No, I know police officer. Yeah, they can ID you obviously.
Yeah,
police
yeah.
officer. But like checking into a hotel, I think that if you want to, you don't have to prove that you're. But I guess it's hard for them as well, right?
Well, there you go, life hack. Next time you're at a hotel, just be like Nihonjin this, and then they'll be like,
oh, okay.
Connor coming up to the hotel. By the way, Nihonjin.
Actually, it's weird because like normally whenever I travel for work in Japan, like we're filming stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's. I noticed that it's such a expat fucking problem. If you're like booking.com is still set to the foreign country, they'll 100% ask you for ID when you get there. But I know because I changed because Chris hasn't done it. Chris is still set to like the UK.
Yeah.
And I told him like a million times, dude, change that shit. Because every time we go to a place, they immediately ask for our passports. It's super annoying having to like do the whole thing. I set mine to Japan now so that when I book it, sometimes they ask, sometimes they don't. But actually this trip, no one ever asked me for it.
oh, that's good.
And no one ever tried to photocopy it. And I was like, oh, this is a nice change of pace.
That's what they should do at every hotel, if you ask me.
I'm like, chill, nice, sick, awesome.
Coming up with the times.
I don't know. It just saves time. I just don't want to. Dude, it's so annoying when we were cycling every single day on the cycle. And we have this 30-minute bullshit check-in where they want to scan all my documents, make sure I'm like legal, and it's like, oh my god, dude, like, let me just check. I need a shower, dude. I smell like shit. Let me in the room. It's like, I don't know. It's weird. I guess especially if, like, I don't actually. I wonder if it's something to do with paying afterwards and paying before, because all the hotels I paid before, and when we did when we travel. With Chris or whatever, we always pay after. I guess also one of the hotels Chris did forget to pay.
Oh shit!
It was an Appa hotel.
Chris forgot to pay?
Chris just straight up forgot to pay.
and just left?
We were late to the stream because Chris had to drive back and go and pay. Because they called him up and they were like, oh, sumimasen, money, where the fuck? So Chris had to drive back and go and pay. Because he just straight up left.
How many hotels has that man been in? How did you forget?
This is why when I book it, I just pay right there. I'm like, this takes away a giant stress.
Yeah.
It's just so much easier because you got to pay with the same fucking card anyway.
Yeah, you don't want to
pay up front.
Yeah, you don't want to fuck around like as you're leaving. You're probably like rushing to go somewhere or whatever. And
Booking.com more often than not just gives you like a 2% discount anyway if you pay online. So just do it. You
I always
free
do
cancellation anyway.
Yeah.
So it's so annoying. Anyway, so this is such a person living here problem, and even then a more niche problem of person living here who travels around here a lot problem.
Yeah.
This is a gig of first world problem.
I got to ask, have you ever, whenever you're like living in Australia or something or somewhere outside of Japan, have you ever like had an opportunity to help a Japanese tourist abroad that's like...
Yeah, a few times. But I don't know. It's weird. Like, unlike in Japan, where there are a lot of people who come to Japan not knowing the language whatsoever and are like clearly struggling.
Yeah, this is going.
A lot of Japanese people who come to Australia, they're pretty decent at English, like enough where they can kind of get around. Because I feel like
it's very English mentality to turn up to a place and think that you'll be accommodated.
Right. And I think like, especially with like Japanese people, because for the most part, a lot of Japanese people are like, the common consensus is like they're very afraid to like travel overseas because it's like, Japanese doesn't really work anywhere else outside of Japan, right? So it's like I feel the people who are actually willing to travel outside of Japan to different countries are the ones that are already probably interested in like learning English or like learning a different language anyway.
Yeah.
So like I've never had that thing of like I've seen a clearly Japanese tourist in Australia struggling because it's like, well, you probably know the bare minimum English to get around anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like, you'll be all right. Just
God, I had a moment I was like so proud of. It was just like it made living here in Japan for like 4 years worth it just for this like one moment. Just because it was actually when I went to Thailand the last time.
Yeah.
And we were at the airport. We had just gotten off the plane. Sydney was in the toilet, so I was waiting for her. And I could see there was this like older Japanese couple talking to one of the Thai staff members, and I just kind of like zoned in on like their conversation, and I think they were like trying to find kind of like the right gate to transfer over to because they were flying to like one of the islands or something. Now, like you said, they could speak like a little bit of English, but it wasn't great.
Yeah,
but also the person that was kind of helping them. Obviously Thai.
Yeah.
Her English wasn't great either.
Dude, yeah, I saw this so much in Kyoto. It was like a different tourist trying to speak English to a Japanese person who also had bad English.
Yeah.
It was like a car crash every time.
So it was just like confusion on both sides.
Yeah.
There was a Thai person speaking broken English to a broken English older Japanese couple who couldn't also speak English, trying to best interpret that. So I was just like, you know what? I think this is my moment. I think this is my moment. And so I come over and I ask I tell the person in Thai, is everything okay? I can speak like a little bit of Japanese. And she explains to me, I'm trying to explain to them the directions of the gate and the plane that I can get to. And I was like, thank God, I can actually, my language skills are good enough to like translate this. And then so I translate them to, I say what she says in Japanese and they go, It's like, why do you want to? Yeah, exactly. And then they were like, why do you speak Japanese? And I was like, I just literally flew from Japan. I live in Japan right now. Had a nice, pleasant conversation, and I was like, yeah, you go here, you go there. I hope you have a nice journey here, and I hope you have a nice day in Thailand. And it was just like, that was I don't know. Sometimes it's the little things in life, and I was like beaming. I was beaming all day just because of that one interaction. I was like, yes.
It's so weird because like in Australia, I've had so many instances where it's like it's that situation but flipped.
Yeah.
So it's like I could be like walking around in somewhere in Sydney, like somewhere where I'm like clearly know where I'm going. Maybe I'm a little bit lost. Maybe it's because it's like a suburb I've never been to.
Yeah.
And I've had people who mistake me for a different nationality many times.
Right.
I remember one time I was in, I forgot where I even was, but it was a place I'd never been to before. And I was like looking for a particular, I think like restaurant or something to meet up with a friend. And I'm like, where the fuck is this place? And I'm like looking on my phone. I don't know where it is.
Yeah.
And this like dude he's just like, excuse me. And he just comes up to me. It's just like, I think he was like Indian or, you know, maybe like, you know, Pakistani, something like that.
Yeah.
And he just starts speaking to me in Hindi. And I'm like,
this is further proof Joey's a Bollywood star.
And I'm like, dog, I ain't Indian. I know I might look it.
I love your movies.
Yeah, he just starts speaking to me in Hindi, and I'm like, and I tried to tell him, I was like, sorry, man, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. And he just and he's like, oh, you speak English?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I speak English. I don't speak whatever the fuck you just spoke to me. Yeah. And he was like trying. It's like, it looked like, it's like, I thought you were like an Indian tourist or something, like trying to figure out where you wanted to go. And I'm like, dude, I live here.
That's my fear of like helping who I think is a Japanese person, and then they just speak a completely different language.
I've had that.
Fuck. Okay, I fucked up.
I've had that so many times where I thought they were Japanese and they were like Korean.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, sorry.
I've had that so many times where I've gone to a place, thought they were Thai, and it turns out they were Vietnamese or Malaysian. I literally, when we were on our America tour, I think we were in like New Jersey or something. It was like our day off, and you guys have got to get dinner, and I'm like, I fucking miss Thai food, man. I just want some Thai food.
Sure.
Go to the local Thai restaurant. Southeast Asian guy serves me, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm back home, and I start speaking to him in Thai, and he's just like, sorry, I don't speak Thai. I'm Malaysian. I'm like, God damn it, man. I thought I was home right now. I thought I was.
Everyone gets confused.
Food is going to be whack or good?
It was still good, though. It was still good.
God just immediately walks out. He's like, all right, I'm done.
Send it back.
Yeah, I thought I was home, baby. But no, it felt great, bro. It felt like my third eye had opened. Because this was the first situation I'd ever been in my life where I had not used my first language. I had used my second language, and now my third language. And I'm just like, yo, is this the power of a trilingual?
Validation.
Yeah. Have I unlocked the trilingual power now? Oh my god, this feels incredible.
Yeah.
But hopefully that kind of like little moments like that, I'm just like, oh, I should study more Japanese now.
Yeah, right.
That's like reignited my passion for learning more
like
Japanese.
Hearing stories like that makes me want to learn a third language, but I just don't know what.
Yeah.
Hindi.
To counteract.
Dude, it's got to be Hindi, bro.
When I start speaking Hindi, I'm like, well, funny you say that, actually.
Bro, imagine how big your fan base would get if you knew Hindi, bro.
God damn.
You'd be huge.
You would quadruple your viewership.
Yeah, right.
Bro, it would be game changing.
Extra 1 billion fans right then and there, dude.